All right, let's get right into it. We're tackling a massive question in the crypto space today. What is the real future of cross-border payments? More importantly, where do huge players like XRP and Stellar's XLM actually fit into that picture? Okay, let's dive in.
So here's the question you see everywhere, right? Is one of these tokens going to become the new global standard, the thing that replaces SWIFT, the one bridge to rule them all? Well, the answer is a whole lot more nuanced and, frankly, way more interesting than just a simple yes or no.
So here's what we're going to cover. We'll start with a tale of two competing futures for money. Then we'll look at what the world's central banks are actually building. We'll figure out where crypto really fits in, and then explore a pretty powerful strategy for thinking about all of this. Let's get started.
First thing you have to understand is that there are basically two parallel universes being built right now. They aren't necessarily at war with each other, but they are built on fundamentally different ideas. See, on one side, you've got the crypto dream, a whole new financial system built from scratch on open, public blockchains. But on the other side, you have the official sector, the central banks, the big regulators, and they're focused on upgrading the system we already have, not tearing it down, and that distinction is absolutely crucial.
So let's dig into that official future. This world is being designed and guided by the Bank for International Settlements, or BIS. You can basically think of them as the central bank for all the other central banks. And trust me, they've been very busy.
The first key ingredient in their recipe is the CBDC. Now, don't let the jargon scare you. A CBDC is just a digital dollar or a digital euro. It's the official currency issued directly by the central bank, just in a new digital format. The key thing to remember is it's not a public cryptocurrency. The second key ingredient is something called a tokenized deposit. Again, sounds complicated, but the idea is actually pretty simple. It's about taking the money you already have in your commercial bank account and turning it into a token on a secure, private network run by the banks. It's an upgrade, not a revolution.
And this table perfectly illustrates what the BIS is focused on. Just look at their big projects. Mbridge, Nexus, Agora. They're all designed to do one thing: use CBDCs and tokenized deposits to make the existing financial system faster and cheaper. They are building new superhighways for the banks, not trying to get everyone to buy a new kind of car.
So, the most important point is this, and it comes straight from the source material. The BIS is not looking for a public token like XRP or XLM to be its official settlement asset. It's just not on their roadmap. Their entire focus is on using central bank money and regulated commercial bank money.
Okay, so if XRP and XLM aren't going to be part of the core banking system, does that mean it's game over? No, not at all. It just means we need to look in a different place, not at the core, but at the edge.
This is the key concept to get. The core is that official, regulated system for huge transactions between banks. The edge is the open, permissionless world of public tokens, and it's focused on retail users, niche payments, and connecting the crypto world back to the traditional one. And what does the edge actually do? It's incredibly valuable. It's where the on and off ramps get built. You know, how you move your dollars into crypto and back out again? It's where you can serve payment corridors that the big banks might not find profitable, and it provides all the liquidity that makes this new world of finance go round.
So once you understand this core versus edge model, it lets you think about things completely differently. Instead of just betting on one winner, you can use a framework to think about the whole system. Let's call it the Bridging Basket strategy.
The idea is pretty simple. Instead of asking, is XRP going to win? You start asking, how can I get exposure to the different layers of this whole new financial stack? You're not trying to pick the one horse that's going to win the race. You're investing in the companies that build the roads, the bridges, and all the rest stops along the way. So what are these layers? You can kind of think of it like this. Layer 1 is that deep core infrastructure, the CBDCs. Layer 2 is the retail banking part, projects like Nexus. Layer 3 is the whole world of stablecoins. And then Layer 4, that's where you find the specialist bridge tokens, like XRP and XLM, each serving a really specific purpose. And even within that specialist layer, they aren't really direct competitors. XRP is laser-focused on institutional clients, big banks, and remittance companies that need efficient foreign exchange. XLM, on the other hand, is built for the retail space, for financial inclusion, and for powering payments for nonprofits and aid organizations. They're both players on the edge, but they're playing on totally different parts of the field. So, visually, a basket could look something like this.
You might have a core anchor, maybe in stablecoins, and then you'd have positions in XRP for that institutional exposure, XLM for the retail and inclusion exposure, and maybe a few other niche tokens. The percentages are just to show the concept, but the idea is all about diversifying across these different layers. And of course, I have to say this, and it's really important. This is not financial advice. It's a mental model, just a framework to help you analyze and make sense of this really complex and fast-moving space.
Okay, so if you start to think this way, what should you actually be watching for? What are the real-world signs that this core and edge idea is playing out?
Well, for the core system, you're going to want to keep a close eye on the progress of those big BIS projects like Mbridge and Agora. For an edge player like XRP, it's all about the growth of its payment corridors and any news on the regulatory front. For XLM, you're looking at the scale of its NGO partnerships and how much activity, like with stablecoins, is happening on its network. See? Each layer has its own signals for success.
So, the big takeaway from all of this is really about recalibrating our expectations. Public tokens don't have to beat the central banks to be incredibly valuable. They can create enormous value by serving the edges, by providing that vital connective tissue between the old world and the new.
And that leaves us with the final question to think about. As this new financial landscape gets built, where do you think most of the value will ultimately flow? Will it be on those new super efficient private highways built by the banks, or on the open public roads paved by crypto? The answer is probably both, and understanding how they're going to connect is the real key. Thanks for watching.